So today I'm going to show you how a Mac Mini and a Apple iPad can be combined to form a new type of computer. Some people call it the Mac Mini Pad or the Mac Pad Mini, but whatever they're calling it in the forums, it's basically a new type of computer that might interest some people. So here we have both products. As you can see, the Mac Mini is all body with no screen, and the iPad, contrasting, is all screen with very little body. So this sort of gave rise to the idea of whether both products could be combined to form a sort of working product in between. So there you have it, the Mac Mini underneath of an Apple iPad. Both products go together quite nicely. It still looks like an Apple product even when you combine all these pieces together. I've also included my Apple wireless keyboard and Magic Mouse as peripherals. So I've turned the screen on the iPad, of course, and it begins to look like a real computer now. I'm using VNC for the iPad to connect to the Mac Mini. This isn't the quickest way to remotely access a computer, but it should get the job done with the least amount of hassles. So here we are on my Mac Mini desktop. As you can see, I have iTunes opened and a BitTorrent client over here. It is touchscreen, of course, so you can still manipulate your computer with touch, which is quite nice if you're used to using the iPad now. And it's sort of an interesting experiment to use a full copy of OS X, a desktop copy, with multi-touch gestures and not using any other input devices. But let's say you wanted to do some serious typing. Well, the keyboard is still going to sync with the Mac Mini, or you could actually have it connected to the iPad if you really wanted that, but it's still going to use Bluetooth to connect to the Mac Mini, like you probably had it already set. If you own another iDevice such as an iPhone or an iPod Touch, you can also access your desktop at the same time using the same copy of VNC that I'm using right now. So both devices are connected to the Mac Mini, and I could use, say, my iPhone to keep a window open for instant messaging or email or something else. So that's the Mac Mini Pad, or the Mac Pad Mini, whatever you want to call it, from Apple Computers. It takes a iPad and a Mac Mini to form a single entity and a usable computer device that will also allow you to do things like tag along an iPhone for a secondary screen, and you could just, remove the iPad whenever you want and get into the iPad OS and run two systems independently. So there really are some exciting options with this, and I think some people will perhaps ditch their laptop or ditch their desktop even for this combo. Up until recently, I was using this MacBook Pro for pretty much everything, but really it's too heavy to move out of the house or even around the house. It basically just sits on my desk, and as a desktop computer, you still need to keep the screen open for heat-related issues, and that just means that the keyboard and trackpad and the rest of the surface collects dust. So with the iPad, I think you have the best for portability, and with the Mac Mini, you still have a full-blown computer that's really small. In fact, the Mac Mini, the 2010 model here, is only about 3.5 pounds, so it's actually quite a bit less weight than the MacBook Pro, even the 13-inch MacBook Pro. So if you really wanted to, you could pack all this in a bag and take it around as your mobile desktop, and still have the iPad for when you want to be really mobile. So what's my final verdict? Well, I'm getting rid of my MacBook Pro as early as next week. It's just boring, really. I think the age of laptops is soon to be over, and with the iPad, of course, you still need a home computer for it to sync to and back up and give system updates. So the Mac Mini seems perfect for that, and I still have the processing power in the Mac Mini to do media creation, like editing this video, for instance. And with the iPad, of course, you have the greatest in flexibility and portability. And it's just nice to have an iPhone. Of course, this is the older model. I have the new one on order, but with that you get a secondary display, a second means to access the computer through VNC or stream videos to or whatever. So with these three products really, and I'd say I'd include the keyboard as well, it's really nice. You have a full-blown computer and you can take all the products and separate them and use them in all sorts of interesting configurations. So that's the MacPad Mini, or the Mac Mini Pad from eyeball.com. This is a new type of computer, and I think it's a very interesting option for people who are always interested in new types of technologies.